Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about ad fatigue. So ad fatigue may seem like a strange term, but basically what it refers to is when you've had an ad up for a long time, it starts to become less effective. So over time, the effectiveness is going to drop. So the general life cycle of an ad or an ad creative will be that you put it up. The first week or so, maybe it will take a bit of time to optimize. Facebook will do some optimization in the background, and you'll start to see it get better over the course of about a week. You'll then hit your sweet spot where you get the best results out of that ad, and then over time, eventually, if you keep running the same ad to the same people, exactly the same, just leave it as it is, it's going to start to become less effective. So let's take a look at why that is. Here's average Joe, and he's sat in your audience, and you start serving your ad to him. The first time he sees it, it's going to be pretty interesting. The second time he sees it, he might well click through and actually do something about it. But the more often he sees that same ad, the less likely he's eventually going to be to actually click through and take action on it. This is because psychologically he's just getting used to seeing it. It's starting to blend into his environment and it won't be as interesting or different to him anymore. After a while it might even start to get a bit annoying, every single time he opens his feed he sees the same ad over and over again. And what effect is that going to have on you? Well, eventually your CTR or your click-through rate, this is how regularly people actually click through and take action on your ad, that's going to go down. To make things even worse, your cost per click is going to go up as well because your relevancy score is going to go down. So your relevancy score, if you remember back to previous videos, is a score between 1 and 10 based on how relevant your ad is to your audience. And over time, if you're showing the same thing to the same audience over and over again, it's going to become less relevant. And what happens when your relevancy score goes down? The price that Facebook charges you to get to your audience goes up. So this is going to start to become really dangerous for your budget, and it's going to mean that the results that you've been getting are going to start to suffer. So let's take a bit more of a look into the causation of this. So audience size is a big factor in this. If you've got a relatively small audience, then it's going to take less time for your creator to be used up to saturate that audience. So if you've got a bigger audience and you're showing the same amount of ads, the same amount of creatives to a bigger audience, it's going to take longer. So obviously budget also has an impact on that. If you've got a small audience and you pump a load of budget at that, then you're going to reach that saturation point and reach ad fatigue a lot sooner. Whereas again, if you've got the same budget and a larger audience, it's going to take you longer to hit that saturation point. So this is why it's often quite difficult to scale ads effectively, which can be really frustrating. If you're getting a great CPA and you're acquiring customers for £2 and you're making £10 or £15 profit out of each one, naturally you're just going to want to pump a load of budget into that and just hope that it keeps going. But you're always going to hit this saturation point. You're always going to have to be dynamic and switch things up. So the third leg on this is the number of ad variants that you have. So the number of different creatives that you have. So that in relation to your audience size means that say if you've got 1 or 2 ad variants to an audience size of 10,000, then it's not going to take long for them all to see those 2 ads. Whereas if you've got 10, 15, 20 different variants in the same ad set and you're serving that to the same audience size, then it's going to take longer for that ad fatigue to kick in because they're going to have to cycle through all those different variants before they start seeing the same ads again. So what can we do to combat ad fatigue? So first of all, use multiple creatives, as many as you can. Not only will this mean that it takes longer for people to see all of your ads, it also means that your audience is going to see your product from different perspectives, and therefore each time they're going to learn a little bit more and have a bit more intrigue about your product. This will also allow you to analyze what's the most effective, what people are engaging more with in terms of creative, and therefore you can use the data you get from these campaigns to make decisions about what creatives you use moving forward. Another great thing to do here is to cycle creatives. So have a period during which you'll just show 2 or 3 adverts for say a few weeks or a month, and then at the end of that period switch those ads off and switch another bunch on, and then just cycle through these different ads all the time. Another advantage to this is that Facebook isn't going to pick favorites, which it has been known to do in the past. This is where it'll start to get a little bit of traction with an ad, and then it'll forget the rest of them and just pump all of your budget into one. By cycling creatives 2 or 3 at a time, then you can be more sure that your budget's getting spread evenly over your different creatives. And then finally, test through more audiences. The more audiences you try, not only are you going to spread out the risk of getting that ad fatigue, you're also going to spread your budget amongst far more options. This is almost like playing roulette and covering the board with lots of different bets. The more of the board you got covered, the more likely you'll find something that works and converts. And then of course the advantage over roulette that Facebook has is that when you find something that does work, you can put more budget into it and you know that you're working on reliable data rather than just gambling. So have a think about how ad fatigue might have affected your campaigns in the past, or how it might be about to very soon. Get some more creatives together, get creative with your audiences, and get yourself a strategy together so that when this starts to happen, you can react and recover your ROI sooner rather than later.